A man waiting for the subway noticed something terrifying. Eerie sounds were coming from the end of the tunnel. Before anyone could react, gravel from the tracks started floating mysteriously in midair. The man sensed something bad was about to happen, but it was too late to run. The passengers on the platform seemed to see something horrifying. As if controlled by some invisible force, they all jumped onto the tracks. Just then, a high-speed train came barreling through, but nobody tried to escape. The man fought with everything he had to keep his balance, barely avoiding disaster. When he burst out of the subway station, the entire city had descended into chaos. He rushed to his daughter's school, only to find teachers lying in pools of blood and students huddled in classroom corners, trembling with fear. The man quickly found his daughter among the children and hurried to meet up with his wife. His wife felt instant relief seeing her husband and daughter safe. But as she crossed the street, an out-of-control car came out of nowhere. The entire city had become a ghost town. People were ending their lives in every way imaginable. Bodies littered the beach. It turned out these mysterious entities could manipulate people's minds. Anyone who laid eyes on them would lose their sanity and find different ways to kill themselves. Only a handful of survivors made it underground, but with supplies running low, people grew savage and violent, often fighting over a single piece of bread. To stay alive, some still ventured outside for food, but they had to keep their eyes covered, feeling their way around like blind people. Paul and his daughter were among the survivors. They stood on a street corner wearing completely blacked out glasses when they heard voices in the distance. It was another pair of survivors using a shopping cart to clear the path ahead, with a spool of rope attached that trailed behind them, their way of making sure they could find their way back. After reassuring his daughter, Paul quietly called out to them, hoping they might share some food. The lead man refused, but as they were about to leave, Paul quickly offered to trade a generator for food. Seeing them pause, Paul continued, explaining he'd found several generators in a high-rise building. This got their attention. They desperately needed a generator. While everyone hesitated, a sudden gust of wind swept up behind them. Not daring to linger, they decided to take Paul back with them. Following the rope they'd laid out, they reached a building. Only after getting inside did everyone dare remove their blindfolds. Looking around, Paul realized this was an old bus terminal from before the apocalypse, sheltering about a dozen survivors. They shared what little food they had, bringing Paul some hot soup. A blind man told everyone that in this apocalypse, the worst thing wasn't the lack of resources, but the twisted nature of humanity. There was a group on the surface called the Open Eyes, who hunted survivors. That's why survivor groups rarely accepted strangers. Paul being there was just an exception. At night, everyone crammed into buses to sleep, except Paul, who seemed lost in thought. Before long, he snuck into the office and took all the bus keys. Anna heard something and woke up to see a figure in the driver's seat. As she moved to investigate, Paul quickly pinned her down with a spoon handle. When Anna saw keys scattered everywhere, she realized the man had been trying to start the buses. She instantly knew something was wrong, but it was too late.